It's my birthday. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
So, what have I done today? Well, I danced. I cried at David's message.
I just read your post.
And it was so touching, and I just want to thank you because that was just the most beautiful, thoughtful post. I avoided my mom's call. I wrote about how incredibly grateful I am for my life. I ordered pet stuff because for the first time ever, I'm gonna be a dog foster mom. Yay! And I'm making this tube for you to tell you the top 7 things that I've learned being an entrepreneur in the last year. So let's get right into this. Number 1, don't be the Lone Ranger trying to solve everything in the business, i.e. communicate. I tend to carry the bulk of the responsibility and the burdens inside a business, and I didn't activate my team enough. Maybe a lot of you can relate to this, but I'm so used to figuring things out by myself. And that's just the way that I grew up. You know, I didn't really rely on other people. I'm very independent. And also, I think it feels safe not to really put yourself out there, because then you're opening yourself up to other people's criticism. So there's multiple lessons within this lesson, and I'm gonna go over that with you right now. So 1.1, your team is smart and capable enough more than you know. 1.2, that means that your real responsibility is to figure out how to fully activate that. And it starts with communicating effectively and letting them in on your thoughts and creating a better feedback loop. So in the past, I used to come across a problem and then I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to take 15-30 minutes to think of a solution or to design a solution around this, and then I roll it out to the team. But lesson 1.3, I learned that I actually don't have to figure things out all on my own. About 75% of the solutions lie within all of your team members, and you really just need to figure out a way to extract that. We're a 100% remote team, so everybody works at different times. There are different time zones, and I did not set up an effective communication flow. Now, we have since activated Loom for me to communicate my thoughts in real time and then get a feedback loop from the team before I make final decisions that gets rolled out. And that has been such a big game changer for me. Also, lesson 1.4, the team feels a lot better when you incorporate their feedback. The motivation also goes up when they feel like they're heard, when they feel appreciated, and most importantly, that they feel like they're contributing and are part of the important changes. All of this creates a real team, not a monarchy, right? Full of you're the king or the queen and you have just a bunch of robots or soldiers who are not appreciated for their uniqueness and also what they can bring to the table that no one, not even you, can bring, right? So that has been one of the most crucial lessons for me in the last year. Lesson number 2, that hiring right the first time is one of the most important things you can do as a CEO. Just like you, I heard it all the time, but to actually experience it is a whole other thing. Experience is the best teacher. Really, truly, hire slow, fire fast. A players like to work with A players. David has taught me that. And it's what actually motivates A players. So before I go further, it is story time. So David and I lived in Medellin for about 3 months and in Colombia. And we had a favorite restaurant because of this like bomb ass dish that was filled with just so much goodness. During this time, I was also looking for a personal assistant, and one of our favorite waitresses from that restaurant was just like this awesome human being who I thought had so much potential. And she also had this really great personality. And when we talked to her, we realized that she was a Venezuelan refugee, which she had a master's degree, and she was actually working a really secure, amazing government position. And she was part of the refugees, basically, who fled Venezuela because of the economic crisis that they underwent. So she went from being a middle high class life to then having to clean toilets and then finding this job as a waitress, making $300 per month with her young son. And, you know, David and I really wanted to help her, but she didn't speak any English. And I tried to make it work, like, you know, can I have an assistant that only speaks Spanish? Because I was, you know, living in Colombia and now David and I are in Mexico. But I realized, okay, like I need an English speaking personal assistant, but we really wanted to help her. So we offered 2 things for her. David has offered to pay for her taking English lessons because we know that her learning how to speak English was going to open up a lot of opportunities for her. The second thing we wanted to do for her was lend her one of our extra laptops. Now, the only thing that she had to do was just show up to our place on Sundays. And this is where she can use her laptop and she can learn English. And then I told her, you know, like once she starts to learn English, I would be happy to hire her in the agency, and I could easily pay her $1,500 a month, 5x what she is currently making. And you know what happened? She never showed up. She never showed up on Sundays. She was so grateful, you know, when we had offered her all of these things. It was like the exit that she was looking for, I'm pretty sure, but then she never showed up on Sundays. When we would go to the restaurant, we would see her, she would have, you know, seemingly legitimate good reasons as to why she never came on Sundays. She'd be like, you know, my son needed something and I couldn't get there on a Sunday. And then another week, it was like she had this really long, exhausting week at work, and it was just like excessively hard that week, so she needed that Sunday off. And you know, every time it just seemed like a good excuse, but I learned then, because she never showed up, and I learned then that no matter how much I or David want to help anybody, the person needs to want it for themselves first, and that it all starts with the person. For me, it's very hard to fire somebody and to let somebody go historically, because I really, just part of my character is I truly believe in everybody's potential, especially if they definitely are coming into their superpower. And I can always see when somebody's coming into their superpower. But then there comes a point when you're actually doing that person a disservice by enabling unacceptable behavior, and you're actually letting the rest of the team members down. So our solution is David, Erica, Martha, and I, and some of the other very strong leaders within Sugatan, we're going to define what an A player is, what a B player is, and what a C player is. And it literally has nothing to do with their skill set, which is funny. And there was this one person on the team who had asked for a raise before they were actually performing as an A player, and it was because they possessed the skill set and they felt like their skill set was actually worth more. And I think that's what, you know, a lot of people actually haven't developed to realizing, is that pay comes with the full package. You know, it's not just your ideas and it's not just your skill set, but it's how you execute, it's how you contribute, and it's how you collaborate. You know, are you creating more problems or are you actually solving problems? That's the biggest sort of like differentiator, I would say. And people, I think even myself, when I was a waitress and I couldn't figure out how to get out of waitressing. It's just that I hadn't developed some of the soft skills, I guess, like my mind, my discipline, or my mindset, or I just didn't try and put in enough effort into actually changing to be a great contributor to whatever team I was in, and those are some of it's hard, you have to make a decision that while somebody has some amazing skills and talent and strengths, and I see that potential being such a massive value within their skill set, it's just 25% of it. The other 75% comes in their attitude. It comes in whether they're going to push through. Are they problem solvers? Do they like challenges? Do they continue to push through no matter what and show up day over day? So it's really interesting. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I'm still learning, but I'm progressing in that. Lesson number 3, decentralizing decision making to allow the teams to solve the problems that they encounter in real time and not waiting until you, the founder or CEO, or the manager or director, or the C-level executive finds out about it. Because by the time that you have found out about it, it has been a problem for at least 2 months. And we are rolling out what we call decentralizing decision making, especially in July 2020. We really don't know how the economy is going to shift. And that's crazy because we don't know if there's going to be an economic downturn, when that's going to actually happen, a recession, a depression, whatever. And so you have to decentralize decision making, meaning that you have to allow your team members, all of them, to be able to problem solve without you having to approve it. And so we're giving everybody that power. Lesson number 4, balancing long-term vision with short-term vision, and doing so via the Agile Workflow. As an entrepreneur, you always have the problem of how do you balance a long-term vision with making sure you're still profitable today, short-term. And the answer for us has been Agile. There's a lot of tutorials out there on Agile, and there's many variations, but the gist of it is that you have your goals that are broken down by actions on a week-over-week basis that you adapt on a week-over-week basis based on what's actually happening, right? So it allows you to adapt quickly based on what's actually happening in the account, which means various things based on the changes that are happening within the business, based on the changes that are happening within the market itself, based on the changes or the limitations that you find yourself having. Maybe Facebook ads will break, who knows, right? And so Agile is a very agile way of adapting on a week-over-week basis. So you're able to balance both long-term vision with your short-term actions, essentially. Lesson number 5, when things feel like it's getting overwhelming, stop. Rewire your brain to be grateful for the problems that are coming across you, because those problems are highlighting your blind spots. Now, if you're anything like me, who is driven by the challenge of seeing the best fucking outcome that I can get out of this life, then you have to train yourself to love problems, obsess over them. And remember that to level up in life is about solving that very problem that you're facing. So don't complain, show that problem respect, and then crush it at 100% velocity. Rewiring it that way brings a different kind of energy, right? I mean, I've come across this multiple times where it's oh my God, problem after problem. I'm over it. I feel burnt out. I just don't want to deal with this, and then escape, right? To Netflix, which is what I do. But when you rewire your brain first about, you know what, like on the other side of this problem is a breakthrough, you know, and it is going to make my life and the quality of everybody else's life that's involved in that a lot better, a lot easier to manage. And so you really just have to like persevere through that problem that you keep encountering over and over again. It may not even be a work problem. It may be a relationship problem that's getting you in the way of, you know, solving the problem or getting what you want. But just keep at it. Love the problem, obsess about it, appreciate it, respect it, and then fucking crush it with 100% velocity and keep going until you do solve it. Lesson number 6, always have an abundance mindset, always, and zap the negative or the fear-based thinking while still being cautious enough to not be naive. So I'm really good at, you know, zapping negative energy or fear-based mindset. What I'm not good at is being cautious about so that I'm not naive. This is actually That's actually why my team members are really crucial for me, because they actually cover that blind spot for me. But everything is about your energy. I cover this in a different video about, you know, your energy and your approach to things, which I believe is definitely the differentiator between breaking through and that or cycling through the same problem showing up over and over again. All right. And then lesson number 7, remember to have a fucking good time. Remember to have fun. Just like, don't take everything so seriously. And that's good for your health. I do believe that negative energy does create health problems. So just remember to have fun as much as you can. You know, for me, that's my music, because I listen to some gangster shit, obviously. But anyway, those are my top 7 things that I learned in the last year. What am I going to work on next year? Well, 3 things that I'm focusing on next year. And that is 1, to literally face my fears. So I have this fear that if I turn off the light when I sleep by myself, because right now David is in Dubai and I'm in this house all on my lonesome, that when I turn off the lights, an alien is going to visit me and probably abduct me. I totally have that fear. But you know what? I am going to start turning off my lights. I'm going to face that fear. I know it's silly, but every single time I have a fear, I'm going to face it, whatever it is. If like, are you ever in like social situations where you're just like, you have a thought and you're like, oh, I should go do that. But you're like, oh, maybe not, because people are going to think that I'm weird, or that's not the appropriate thing to do in a social situation or whatever. For me, I'm going to be like, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. If the thought comes to me, I am going to just do it, because you never know. That's my commitment, number 1. Commitment number 2 is to actually start building my network. I have no problem making friends or anything like that. I'm not socially awkward when I'm in a group setting. What I'm bad at is basically reaching out to people, asking for help, and then maintaining that relationship. So I'm going to be more conscientious of that, with Nikki's help, of course. And then commitment number 3 is no escaping. No escaping means like, I got to the point where I got so burnt out, and this happened around March, I would say, and I started escaping, meaning that like whenever there was a problem, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna let it roll off, and I'm just going to binge watch on YouTube videos, which I'm a sucker for like dog rescue videos, which is why I'm gonna become a dog foster mom. But just no escaping, you know, just really trying to like deal with that problem or challenge head on. And another challenge that I have is my health. You know, like I've been sitting on my ass for 3 years in front of this laptop because I just love sitting in front of the laptop so much. And you know what? Whenever my brain would get burned out, I would revert back to like, oh, I'm gonna rest my brain. I'm gonna do that by watching these like mind-numbing things. But now I'm actually exercising now. And also, instead of binge watching on something, I'm actually calling old friends and reestablishing connections. Like there's so many awesome things to like not escaping. So that's my commitment number 3. All right, thanks guys for watching. And as of this week, we're starting to release 2 videos a week. So make sure that you hit that bell notification and that you actually subscribe, so that you get notified as soon as a video comes out, which we're aiming for Mondays and Fridays at 6 p.m. EST. So I'll see you guys there.